Greetings, I am Solidus-Skully and welcome back to some more Sly Raccoon action. Now that we've accessed the second part of the hub world, tonight we're going to be finishing this spooky goopy of the night. I have no idea what the hell I was saying there, but anyway, our main mission for this, well, this part of the hub world I suppose, is stopping Ms. Ruby from raising the dead to obtain an army which she'll use to devour the flesh of it's not technically humanity, I guess, it's animal kind. I don't know, that's always fascinated me, actually. Like, I mean, in a world where anthropomorphic animals exist in a place without humans, what exactly do they eat? Because, like, I mean, it's again, I'm probably stealing a line from Red Dwarf when I say this, but if animals eat chicken, then do they eat their own species? Because otherwise they'd just be picking on the chickens. I don't know. I mean, it's always fascinated me to see a world of animals and just wondering what their diet is, and the fact that they're anthropomorphic means that, you know, the lesser species also exist, so where exactly does the food come from? Because I'm pretty sure they're not all vegetarians. I don't know, I'm probably overthinking this, but I don't know, delving into some real Fox and the Hound territory. At least I think it was Fox and the Hound. I haven't seen that movie in years though, but regardless of such, that's a little bit too depressing. Albeit fitting considering the horror theme, but never mind. Anyway, now we have probably one of the most, I don't want to say the most difficult level to get clue bottles in, but it is one of the most tedious. It's nothing too extraneous, it's more so just backtracking and, well, I suppose generally just knowing where the clues are, because I mean, they're not as well hidden as some of the other levels in this section of the game, but they are something that you do need to backtrack a lot for. That being said though, the one benefit to this level is that it has the overworld theme playing, which I am eternally grateful for because it's probably one of my favourite tracks in the game. But then again, being the big lover of ambient music that I am, I just can't help but get enough of this song. Jesus. I would stay here and listen to it for a while, but, you know, commentary and everything. As far as the level itself is concerned, it's more platformer focused, although there are a couple of guards dotted around with a few searchlights, which in the HD version are actually a lot harder to spot, because having played the PS3 version of the games, the spotlights here are, I don't know what it was that was changed about it, but they were so much harder to spot, because I ended up getting caught quite a few times by them. And I suppose another interesting thing to note about the PS3 version, and one of the reasons that actually kind of stopped me from playing that version over the PS2 one that you're seeing here, is that there are quite a few glitches in the PS3 version, the biggest one of which I encountered actually quite recently was grinding on rails, where, again, you press the circle button and jump up and you can land on a rail no problem. Weirdest thing is, and especially in this level, Sly has a tendency to glitch out, sort of, and he'll instead glitch onto the side of the rail, but his character model will become somewhat warped because he's meant to be going forward and straight. And as a result of that, you don't quite get to where you're needing to be going. And that actually happened to me during the Serpent Chase, as we saw with the Lair of the Beast level last part, so yeah, that, among a very present reason that we'll get to at the end of the part, will explain why I chose the PS2 version, because, you know, not for nothing, I wouldn't say that the HD collection of Sly Raccoon on the PS3 is bad, more so that it just has a few issues. Like, I mean, I think you can probably even see it during Sir Raleigh's section, where you could see, during the boss cutscene before Sly and Sir Raleigh fight, you can see Sly slowly hovering upwards. In the PS3 version, Sly keeps on going, and you can see his head start clipping through the roof. It's a weird cutscene glitch, and one which I do think was in the PS2 version, since you could see him slowly rising. But, something that wasn't quite as prevalent in the PS2 version as it was in the PS3 version, and not for nothing, that is somewhat of a common complaint in a lot of HD collections, most especially for the PS3, because I recall having a conversation with a Precise Climber, actually, about certain graphical details being in specific versions of the games where they weren't there before. I mean, I think this conversation might be on one of the earlier parts of the commentary, but that being said though, they have been known to do that, you know, whether or not it's replacing data that can't function on modern technology, or if it's just something that got screwed up between porting jobs, it's always been a bit of a curiosity to me, and something that I don't think we should expect in HD collections, but at the same time something that is somewhat unavoidable. I mean, you can kind of go either or in that aspect. Unless, of course, you go for the full-on Bluepoint Studios method of, you know, taking a retail copy of the game and reverse engineering that. Or you get things like, you know, the Devil May Cry HD collection, which completely fucks up the cutscenes by having the audio completely desynced. Or the Silent Hill HD, which, well, had more interference than was entirely necessary. Mainly in the voice acting and writing departments, but then again, that's an entire can of worms that I don't really feel comfortable opening. Anyway, all it really served to was just to fill the time in which, you know, you collect the clue bottles. Again, the backtracking, as you can see here, isn't exactly the worst thing in the world, but it is something that might get on some players' nerves. But then again, with the right amount of music and the decent amount of ambience, I'm not really one to complain about this. I suppose another interesting thing to note is that this entire level is actually made out of a giant animal carcass. Something that you will see when we get to the Ms. Ruby boss fight, but yeah, and she wonders why she didn't have any friends growing up. I don't know, it's a little something morbid to think about, which always gave Sly Cooper a bit of... And speaking of Ms. Ruby, that's not a PA she's communicating over, that's actually telekinesis. No, telepathy, sorry. Got my televisions mixed up. Yeah, to translate, since some of these PA announcements are kind of unintelligible, she's basically saying, "Sly Cooper, I'm gonna molest you with my ghost powers!" Ha 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 ha. So yeah, you have to be prepared for the boss fight, and let me say this, you will die during Ms. Ruby's boss fight, and especially with the PS3 version, it will leave you quite mad. But in any case, though, again, you're probably getting tired of the same sort of backtracking time and time again. But this is really only a problem if you're going out of the way to get the clue bottles, which it isn't too bad, just a little bit more busy work. Which I think, as I've mentioned, or at least have alluded to in previous parts, is what I appreciate about Sly Raccoon the most. Like, I mean, the fact that you go out of your way to get these power-ups, while they're not essential, they do, or depending upon the power-up, obviously, they do make you feel a little bit more powerful and make you a little bit more prepared, which is generally what I think a lot of players want out of a video game, and something that, again, the Sly sequels didn't really do as well, particularly Sly 2, since it also had the clue bottle mechanic, is that when you went out of your way to get these power-ups, it felt like it was worth a damn, whereas in Sly 2, they tried to have the whole power-up system, but they also had the Thief Net system, which you could use to buy moves and upgrades, and that didn't quite make it as worth it, so the whole clue bottle mechanic, well, I mean, on a personal level anyway, I didn't really bother with it. And again, while the Thief Net concept I think was a better way to tie it into the plot, ouch, I don't know. It did kind of take away, it took away something, but added another dimension to another, so I guess it was kind of take it or leave it, really. I don't know. I guess also in discussing the Sly sequels, since I could probably fill up for time right now, is some of the music, actually. Which, again, if you would ask me what my favourite soundtrack in the Sly Cooper series was, it'd be this one. And one of the reasons why I prefer Sly Raccoon's soundtrack over Sly 2 and 3 is mostly because of the fact that I kind of feel like Sly 2 and 3 had a tendency to reuse this left motif of da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, which was, you know, done with all the French horns and all that sort of stuff. Actually more of an accordion thing, really. But, not to say that was bad or that Sly 2 and 3 have bad soundtracks, it's just that, I don't know, I'd rather well, I don't mind left motifs, but, yeah, I'd rather distinct level themes above anything else. I mean, I don't mind that sort of da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na to be a press the circle to enter the vault code. But at the same time, though, I'd rather a soundtrack stick out and have left motifs there as certain characters' themes. I guess, kind of like in Sonic Adventure, really.
Mind-bending! It's Matthew Della Cooper's perpetual slow-motion technique. With this move, you can slow down time whenever you want, not just while jumping. Hold down the triangle button to use it.
Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Are these thieves or fucking Time Lords? Again, I know I've said this time and time again, but it's no wonder that the It's no wonder that the Cooper clan were master thieves when they had the ability to slow down time. God, and there's one ability right at the end of the game which completely breaks everything that I think a reasonable corporeal being could stand for. I mean, slowing down time and speeding it up, it's no wonder why a certain owl was very jealous of this family. In fact, now that I mention it, it does kind of make you wonder why other thieving, well, not even thieving, just anybody in general wouldn't decide to go after the Thievius Raccoonus, considering the fact that it has all these powers to it. It teaches you how to do them. You know, it's... To hell with being a master thief, you could pretty much do anything with a Thievius Raccoonus. And now we get to another one of my favourite minigames out of Sly Raccoon, actually, using the Swamp Skiff. It's a vehicle that I kind of wish there were more levels to it, to be honest. Like, I mean, this could have easily slotted into one of Sir Raleigh's or even Mugshot's area, now that I think about it. I don't know. There's also another interesting little fact about this, is that you can actually bypass the skiff entirely and walk around the stage normally by just jumping at a certain angle before entering the level. I've never done this myself, so take my word with a grain of salt, and I don't know if if it's any easier or harder to do on the PS3 or PS2 versions, but I'm probably going to try this on the next time that I decide to play Sly Raccoon, because it does sound like a very interesting premise to try and go through this level as Sly on foot. Anyway, I suppose to continue the conversation about music that I was having earlier, I really do like the soundtrack for this area. It's very peaceful. Although there is a bit of a curiosity to it, actually, because there is a certain accordion, well, I don't know if accordion would be the right phrase to it. There's a certain Le Francais vibe to this song, which isn't featured in-game, so I don't know if certain instruments were used in the in-game version of the soundtrack rather than the stuff that you actually do get with the soundtrack itself, but either way, this track is utterly peaceful and very haunting, so this level gets a pass from me. As far as how you control the Swamp Skiff, if you weren't paying attention to Bentley's words earlier, it basically works like a twin-stick shooter, so you use the right analog stick to start shooting, and you use the left analog stick to move. Again, very simple to pick up and play. It's actually pretty much quite similar to the underwater submarine, except with this you have a lot more freedom of movement, and you can pretty much just do anything. And I guess something that I probably should have mentioned far earlier than I did is that, comparatively to some of the other levels in the game, you don't have to collect clue bottles in this, so you don't have to worry about missing anything or collecting a page of the Thievius Raccoonus, or having to worry about pressing the circle to enter the vault code. One thing you will have to worry about, though, is a shitload of ghosts, which might not sound like a big deal since you have a massive gun, but it is something to be aware of, considering the fact that they can quite easily sneak up on you in large numbers, especially towards the end, where, well, death is very unceremonious. With that being said, though, this level is, I wouldn't say easy, but it is pretty cruisy comparatively to some others, and an upcoming mission that we are soon to face. Yeah, you probably can't hear that because of Sly's shooting, but yeah. Actually, I'm starting to wonder now. I don't know, I guess my mind is still going on to the fact that the ghosts exist in the Sly Cooper universe. I don't know. I think my mind is probably just trying to wander back to the conversation tangent of animals eating each other. I don't know if there probably has been forms of media that do explore it. I mean, I did mention Fox and the Hound earlier. If that was even the right name of it, I can't quite remember. It was I think it was... Maybe I'm just hallucinating this, but it was a movie about it was like a fox and I think it was about like a fox and a dog, and years later they had to hunt each other down and kill them. Or kill each other purely because that was what their retrospective roles were in the grand scheme of things. I don't know, it was a weird movie, and maybe I'm just not thinking of the right title, but I think that's the only movie to my recollection, or at least one that I've seen years ago, that actually tried to explore that sort of dynamic. I don't know. Maybe my mind is just overthinking things to the point of travelling into dark areas, but this is what I was talking about earlier, where the ghost can quite easily overrun you. Best advice I can give you is just try and circle around them and, well, I mean, it's a little bit difficult to do considering that they're coming from all angles, essentially, but yeah, once you take out one, it should get easier from there. It's just that initial avoiding the ghosts that have come for Sly's tight buttocks, which is what you have to worry about. But again, bada bing, you do the thing, and you grab the key. Oh yeah, posing once again because Sly has street cred, yo. And now we continue to the swamp's dark center. And I think now we're probably going to go off to the, well, a level that I think many can consider to be one of the hardest missions in the game. And all for completely the wrong reasons, and also one of the strangest missions in the game. What it is, we're about to find out right now.
With all the hay and feathers in here, just looking at this place has got me breaking out in hives. But we've got no choice. That ghost over there contacted me on Spectre Wave Radio, and we've cut a deal. He's promised us a key if you can whack 50 chickens. I guess he needs them to make a big pot of gumbo, but he's scared of the bob-totem roosters. Be careful, or they'll blow you to bits. Think you can do it?
If it wasn't for the fact that I was naming these parts after the Carmelita newspaper headlines, I can assure you that the title of this part would have been "That's a lot of cocks!" Again, I'm sorry for bursting your eardrums right there, but yeah, this is the bomb-toting rooster minigame. Jesus, another thing I never thought I'd say. Anyway, you have to smack over 50 chickens, and in doing so, we can get a key because Bentley made a deal with the evil powers that be, because he's associated with the Fiendish Five, or at least according to my headcanon. And this is very difficult for one reason, because the bomb-toting roosters are quick, and again, if you're not skillful enough at maneuvering, they will catch up to you, and you're as good as dead. It's a pain in the ass not only for that, but also for the time limit, so you don't really have any sort of time to waste. And again, one false swipe, or if you let the roosters catch up to you, you're just done. And let me tell you, you will die so many fucking times in this level, it's unparalleled. And again, with levels like this, and the Piranha minigame earlier, I can see why people would consider this to be the worst hub world in the game. But at the same time though, those two missions aside, I do really like Ms. Ruby's hub world. I don't know, I guess it's more so the sheer ridiculousness of what we're trying to do here. I don't know, I mean, I think the Sly series would do better to tie in, you know, okay, we're a criminal gang that's also making deals with other criminals, you know, in the later Sly games, a little bit better than what they have here, but at the same time though, this is just, ugh. But anyway, it's done, and we smack those cocks around! I don't know. Needless to say though, what you missed out was death on a grand scale. Anyway, we have now completed our tasks, and now it's time to take the fight right to the... Is she an alligator or a crocodile? I'm not too sure. Either way, this will be the day you waited for. This will be the day we opened up the door. Fuck, I forgot the rest of the lyrics. But anyway, we're gonna fight Ms. Ruby? Whee! Come on, don't make a liar out of me. Whee! Anyway, it's basically a Sir Raleigh situation where we ride the pot of evil spirits all the way up to Ms. Ruby's house. Well, house. I should say the dead animal carcass from which she's made her home. Jesus Christ, that is fucking morbid.
I could feel that Cooper vibe a-coming. Most distastefully bad juju.
Yeah, well, you give me the creeps too, lady. Cooking up an army of ghosts isn't a very neighborly pastime.
Oh, Sly. I see your mouth a-moving, but all I hear is blah, blah, blah. Well, if jaws need to flap, then let them flap. See you in the next world, Sly Cooper.
Well, here we go. By far the hardest boss in the entire game. Yes, even more than the final boss. Well, not for nothing, there is a way to do it, but in certain versions of Sly Raccoon, namely the PS3 version, You are about to know pain the likes of which you have never felt before.
Come back here. You can't run away forever.
Quite true. Quite true. Why don't I have my servant Chumley escort you over here?
Alright, what's the catch?
Oh, not much. Just a little game I like to play with all my annoying guests. I want to see how well you pay attention.
What do you mean?
Well, I'll unleash my mighty mojo magic upon you. If you repeat what I do, you'll dodge it just fine. If not, you'll get set.
A little voodoo, Simon Says, huh? Sounds easy enough.
Oh god. What you are not seeing is the many deaths that I have suffered at the hands of this boss fight. Tell me, kiddies, it's time for another one of Skully's fun facts of the week, and by fun, I mean absolutely fucking painful. As was mentioned in the cutscene, we have pretty much a Voodoo Simon Says. Match the button prompts, and you should dodge it just fine. The problem? In the PS3 version of the game, Ms. Ruby, what you're meant to be doing is that you're meant to be pressing these buttons in time with the music. The problem? In the PS3 version of the game, the music is completely out of sync. So what's going to be happening is that you're going to try and match the button prompts to the movements. Thing of it is, won't happen, and you'll die, just like right there. Now, imagine trying to do this with, you know, the music absolutely mistimed. This isn't a problem in the PS2 version, where the music is matched up so you press the button prompts and you should be fine, so long as your rhythm skills are up to par. In the PS3 version, it throws your concentration off so fucking much, honestly, it makes this boss fight nearly unplayable. The only saving grace that there is to the PS3 version of the game is that if you don't hit it in time or if you hit it too early, it doesn't penalize you. So what you can do is that you can press the buttons early on, like before the prompts come to you, and you should be able to dodge it just fine because all you'll get was a little bit of a toom sound, which means that you've hit it before it's happened. That is the only saving grace to the PS3 version and the only reason why it's even slightly playable. I don't know how the PS3 version could have fucked that up so much, but yeah, that's honestly why I recommend to people, if you're going to be picking up Sly Raccoon, get it for the PS2. And again, if you're going to get the PS3 version, that's my warning to you if you plan on taking on this boss fight. Just constantly mash the buttons that are coming up before they actually reach Sly, because if you don't, you're pretty much fucked every which way and sideways. Jesus. Even just looking at it makes me fucking nervous as hell, because the way in which you die, it might seem simple enough, but death comes so easily in this place, and again, if you're not used to getting a game over, this place on the PS3 version will give you a shitload of game overs. And again, you know, even if you lose this on a regular life, you're gonna do this all over again. And trust me, this isn't even the worst of it. I mean, you've seen 2 deaths already. And again, while this stuff might be, you know, reasonable, it has a 3rd phase, and it is much, much worse. Zag, zig, 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 voo. Yeah, it's pretty much saying zig, zag, voo, and do. Could this be a reference to Zig and Zag, the lost characters of the Sly Raccoon mythos that were taken by Ms. Ruby, who presumably has their souls? Maybe, I don't know. Well, I mean, then again, cut characters do happen, I think. It seems to be getting slow. Tiring now. Zag, zig. Okay, that's enough of that. But yeah, this... honestly, even this, like, for as slow as it's going, really puts you to the test, and yeah, this is where the most deaths are gonna happen. And remember, if you lose here, gotta do it all over again. Yep, things get fast. Hold on to your lunches, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and by the way, just as a bit of saving grace and something that I actually found out recently, if you are quick enough, it is possible to hit Ms. Ruby at the 2nd phase of the fight twice, so that way you can completely skip this entirely at the cost of having a glitched cutscene camera for Ms. Ruby's ending. And I guess since I won't really have another chance to mention it, you could actually see Ms. Ruby billboards in at the dog track, which was the Murray Racing minigame in Mugshot section. I'm only really saying this because this is actually really putting me on edge right now. Voo, voo, voo. Voo, voo, voo. Jesus, this music is not doing well for my anxiety! And... come on. Yes!
You certainly got some rhythm, Raccoon. But it won't help you none if you're fixing to go after the Panda King. He's tough, with a capital T. You go poking around his stronghold in China, you're likely to get poked back.
Yeah, well, if he's anything like the rest of you, I think I'll manage. Ms. Ruby's section of the Thievius Raccoonus held notes from my pioneering ancestor, Slighton Common. His invisibility technique allowed him to steal from corrupt pharaohs and greedy noblemen. Right on schedule, Inspector Fox's arrival cued my exit. The production of zombies, made illegal in the World Peace Accord of '71, earned Ms. Ruby a life sentence behind bars. While the gang and I enjoyed a few weeks in the tropical sunshine, working on our tans in preparation for our next caper.
Well, with that out of the way, I'm Solidus-Skully, keeping new metal, and next time on the Sly Raccoon commentary, we go to a winter wonderland. Keep new metal, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.